Good morning, everybody. I'll double check a couple things, make sure that we are in fact live. Looks like we are. Whoops. Keep that open. All right. I think we're good. Happy Monday, artists, and welcome to the studio. I'll turn my light down just a little. I feel like I'm really, really bright. It's great to see everybody. We're going to talk about what those kids are learning in classes in the next week, which is the second week of May. So we'll dive right in. We don't have a lot to chat about. We're at the end of our school year. So, whew, anybody else feeling it? I am. May is nuts. Nuts, everybody. All right, here we go. Preschool classes. We've got our young ones. They just finished reading. What did we read last week? Don't let the pigeon drive the bus. Oh, I should have brought pigeons. They're on the counter in there. They're so cute. They made clay pigeon bobblehead sculptures, and they'll get to paint those this week. So my parents who have preschoolers, when they come to class this week, know they're going to be using some acrylic paint. So make sure you dress in those art clothes, more so than normal, because it is a non-washable paint. We have paint shirts we can throw on over them if you want us to, but it's just easier if we don't have to. For some kids, that's really unsettling to have to put on somebody else's shirt and somebody else's clothes, and we hate to have any kind of obstacles between them and their creative process. So in their own comfortable clothes, they're always going to feel better than if we throw a paint shirt on them. But if you forget, we do have those available for you. Just it won't be like a project time, I don't think. I think it's just in the station time, but there will be acrylic paint. You can see we did some baking soda and vinegar in both of our studios for stations this week, and this is one of my favorite pictures from the week. We love exploring those chemical reactions that happen, and it's just delightful. This week, they're going to be reading Sylvester and the Magic Pebble, and they're going to be making some dangerous art, which is what we usually call it. We will heat up the rocks in the ovens, so they will be warm when they get it, and then they will put a crayon on top, and it will ooey gooey ooze all over. The rock actually forms kind of a wax shell, and we'll sprinkle it with glitter. So when it dries, you have a wax encrusted, swirly, glittery rock for them to take home. So that'll be the art project for the day, and then we'll move on to our creative stations. For our drawing classes, I hope you saw last week, they spent time, we had such good weather. They spent time outside drawing trees, which you're like, why? They've been known how to draw trees forever. But a lot of being an artist is using your observation skills and noticing things like, hey, trees come in different shapes. They come in different, triangle shapes or oval shapes or round shapes or oval shapes that go this way. Some are really open and have a lot of area between negative space where we can see the sky. And some of them are very dense. And getting your eyeballs to notice it, and then for your brain to create a library of trees that you can later reference when you're making art is such a valuable thing. So they spent time outside sitting and drawing trees and just using our observation skills. We're hoping to be outside as much as possible this month. And if the weather doesn't cooperate with us, we do have photo reference photos for them, but it's so much more fun to be outside. Everybody wants to be outside this time of year. So we're just going to lean into that kind of wiggly tendency that we have and go outside. This week, they're going to be drawing buildings and roads. And so rather than drawing these really organic structures, we'll be using our powers of observation to draw things that are lines and angles. So there'll be some perspective lessons. We'll try to stick to 1-point perspective for the younger ones. We might introduce 2-point perspective for our older ones. But just understanding, this is a really good example here, actually. So to see the picture of the kids all lined up on the sidewalk and it's going away from you. See how the two lines of the sidewalk converge at the top of the page and how things look smaller as they get further away. That's called 1-point perspective, and the road also does the same thing. That's called a vanishing point. So we'll talk about those kinds of things and those principles, so that way, again, they have that in their brain and can recall it later. Even if you're using powers of observation, understanding the why will help you be more accurate. And if you don't have a reference photo, then understanding the why will help you just draw it in general. Okay, here we go. Multimedia classes are in Metals Month, and so I brought a couple things to show you from the middle school class. I didn't bring much from the younger ones because all they did last week is just play with the material and and kind of get their first steps done. So my K1s and my second thirds, remember they're making that medallion collage. Last week, they had small pieces of 3-inch by 3-inch metal tooling foil that they could practice making designs on and understanding how you make those mountains and valleys and you add that texture. How do you make a shape pop out? How do you make a shape depress? You know, all those things. So they just played with that. This week, they'll start on their project. So their goal is to get 2 to 3 metal pieces done. And then we'll try for another 2 or 3 the next week. So then we can get them colored and collaged and on the board and out the door. So that's the plan this week. They'll actually start their project. My 4th and 5th and my homeschool classes, they also played with metal. A lot of them had done metal tooling before, which was great. So they just had a little bit of a review of the material and how to use it, as well as some safety instructions. And then they started on making their mandalas. So they designed on paper a template that will then be traced around, right? Because everything, all the pie pieces in the mandala are the same. So it has to be traced 8 times around the circle. So they designed their shapes for their pie piece. This week, they'll start that tracing process. So it's an exercise in focus because you have to do the same thing 8 times all the way around. And it's stunning results, but you have to focus long enough to get it done. So they'll have a little bit of a challenge this week getting that in. And then in week 3, they'll be able to add a lot of details and textures once they have their mapping in, and then they'll get to add their color. Now, oh, wait, hang on. I forgot the middle schoolers. My middle schoolers and my high schoolers have been making bugs. So they worked on just the body shape. And I've got a couple different examples. This one's green, of course, so it's not going to show up, but look here, this one. This one is my favorite, this like yarn. It's an eyelash yarn, and it's got a wire structure to keep it in its shape, and then fiber around it, and then more wire. And then there'll be like wire legs and wire wings, and everything has to be wired on, which is where the metal comes in. It's really very structural. But since the structure is visible, you're also working with the aesthetic of it. So this is one of the bodies. They could make any shape they wanted. So like that one is a little bit more like almost a kidney bean shape. This one here is very like very tightly wound and almost like an oval. Okay. It's also got like a really great wire design. It's green. So, and then the last one that I have here, look at this one. Now, this artist is going to have a challenge because the longer you get, right, the harder it is to manage this whole thing with gravity. So I don't know how many legs he's going to have, but hopefully a lot. But you can see we also use the eyelash yarn. We've got lots of great wire work going on. So this is holding everything in and together, and it makes it very solid when we wrap in wire like this. But it's also visible. So that's the beginning of their bug sculptures. They will work to transform these shapes into the bugs that they're imagining. So wings and antennas, they'll wire on eyes. We've got wooden beads or buttons or whatever they want to use for eyes, or just more wire for eyes. And then I think the most challenging part is anybody who plans to have their bug stand up. So we have fishing line that if they plan to have their bug hang, you don't have to mess with that, right? But if you plan to have them sit somewhere on a counter, then you have to build those legs that will withhold like the weight of whatever you have made. So I think as a 2D artist, that's the hardest part of sculpture because gravity is just, it's just tricky. I'm going to back up just a little bit, you guys, because what I didn't talk about our comic drawing classes. So I'm going to back up. Comic drawing classes, they have a challenge this month of creating a comic book. And for a lot of them, if they've been with us since the beginning of the school year, they have been formulating this comic since September. Well, no, October. We did benchmarks in September. So October was when we introduced it. So they could start working through, like, in every lesson, what are your characters? In every, like, what's your background? In every lesson you can use to create your comic. And so now they finally get to put one together. So I wanted to show you what they did last week. Of course, it's green. Let me get an orange one. So the first thing they did was storyboarding. So Miss Grace, this is Liberty's class. Miss Grace had them with each Post-it note is a different comic page, and they had to draw out how their story visually is going to be told. So they did some storyboarding first, and then they got their comic. So this is, a lot of them started, they did their cover, but each page is ready for them to add in their drawing. Let's see if anybody got, they also have, since the books, they also have like a divider sheet, because the inks that they use, a lot of times like the alcohol ink markers will bleed through. So they've got like spacers for when they're inking, but you can see some of they look really good, you guys. They have great storytelling ideas. A lot of their, there we go. There's one that has a little bit more. Oh, wait. Okay, I did that wrong. Ms. Grace tells me I turned 2 pages at once, because these will eventually be glued together. Okay. Let's see if I turn 2 more. It's hard on camera. Yeah. I didn't grab all of them. So if and honestly, any artists that are watching this, I don't grab like, this is the best one to show. I just grab, because I'm like, I want to show all of them. I usually grab from one class, because otherwise I'm afraid I won't get them back in the right cubby. So you can see we've got some cover sheets going on. We get to use our character design. We get to use our lettering. We get to use our inking skills. Their goal is to get 2 pages done, 2 to 3 pages done every single class. This last class, they did the storyboarding, and a lot of them got their covers, but let's see if they can get 2 to 3 pages done. That takes a lot of focus in the next class, and they'll just follow their map and get their books done. So that'll be a fun kind of end cap to their year. Okay, now we'll move on to housekeeping. Here we go. Our last day of classes is Friday, May 26th. Okay, the Platwood Studio, of course, doesn't have Friday classes, but Liberty does. So there's Platwood's is May 25th, of course. Liberty's May 26th. That's the Friday before Memorial Day. Our last day for makeups is Wednesday, May 31st. Okay. We are sending artwork home. So if you didn't finish your April projects, if you didn't finish your February projects, if you didn't finish your November project, it is going home with you. It's been in the class cubby, and we're just going to send it home. Not because we don't want you to come in and do a makeup sometime in the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, but because we got to start getting cubbies cleared out. We don't want to get to the last day of class and then we don't see you, and now we're like, what do we do with your art? So we'll send it home with you. If you sign up for a makeup, bring it in with you so that we can get it finished up. Okay. The studio is closed. We are taking vacation. The whole studios, Liberty and Flatwoods, close, lock the door, change the voicemail. I will still check emails once a day, and I will check voicemails once a day. Mostly for camp registrations, anything campy that's coming up. I want to be able to take care of that. Like if somebody registers for camp and then they're like, oh crap, that's the wrong week, and they need help transferring, I don't want them to wait a week for that. But for everything else, like we are closed. Everybody's going on vacation. It's a paid vacation. I don't know if people are traveling or what. We'll try to share some pictures on Instagram stories so you can see what your staff does on vacation. Mine is not very exciting. Drive my kids around, but anyways, and so just so you know, that's like a dead week for us. It's the first time we've ever done that, so should be interesting. Let's see. And then our summer program begins June 19th. So we have like our staff vacation, and then we have prep week, and then on June 19th is when the first week of camp starts. So if you haven't heard, we don't do classes during the summer. So no drawing classes, no multimedia classes, no fundamentals classes. We just do the summer camps, the story times, and the teen workshops, and they're single session type registrations. It's not a reoccurring billing like what you have during the school year. It's not a weekly commitment like you have during the school year. You pick and choose, design your own summer, come and see us. If you're not signed up yet, you can still do that. Registration for next year, so for those fall classes, begins August 1st at 9 a.m. And that's it. That's all I got. Oh, over here for that registration for fall, you can sign up to receive email updates. So like if you want to know when the fall schedule is posted, which is usually around the 4th of July, there's a place on our website where you can sign up for that update. And then I don't send a lot of emails. I don't know if you guys know this. I send this one But like in terms of like promo emails, I don't send those. I just send them to the list that people that sign up. So if you want fall registration updates, you have to sign up to be on that list. I might send one to the people that are signed up for classes, but if you sign up on the list, you'll for sure get the like, hey, classes are posted. Hey, class registration is started. You'll for sure get that. Okay? I just don't like to bug people. All right, that's it. That's all I got. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. I hope the weather holds for us and we get some amazing spring weather this week. I'm loving it. And if you need anything from me as we barrel towards the end of the school year, you know where to find me. The best way to reach me is with a Facebook message or an email. If you call me here, I promise I'll call you back. It just takes some time sometimes. So have a wonderful rest of your day and I will chat with you soon. I got to get to the right button. I always think I can end it really smoothly and then I'm on the wrong screen. What are you going to do?